All right, so we're diving back into the only one, picking up with chapter 12. And, this chapter really throws us right back into it, with Sheng Wang basically sleeping through class.
Yeah, really throws you back in.
It's kind of funny, right? Like, this whole scene feels so normal, just a regular, chaotic morning in the classroom.
Right.
Homework's due, someone's brought in fried chicken. Like, you can practically smell it, right?
Totally.
But knowing everything that's happened between Sheng Wang and Jiang Tian, even a scene like this feels kind of significant.
Yeah, definitely. You can feel the tension, from everything that's come before. Like that almost connection in chapter 11, that lingering resentment. It's all bubbling under the surface.
Yeah.
So even though the scene feels kind of mundane, like a normal classroom morning, knowing their history, it's just layered,
Yeah, there's like a subtext to everything.
Exactly.
It's like that moment when Sheng Wang is asked which way west is and he just blanks.
Right.
Like, it's played for laughs in the book, but it feels like, I don't know, more than just a throwaway joke, especially with how Jiang Tian reacts.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, because it connects back to that moment in chapter 9 when Jiang Tian finds Sheng Wang stranded at the Zhao convenience store.
Exactly. And Jiang Tian even says west is the Zhao convenience store.
Right. It's like he chose to answer that way on purpose.
Yeah, like he remembers that night vividly.
Totally. It's almost as if he's hinting that he sees it as some sort of significant shared experience.
It's so subtle, but it like shifts their whole dynamic.
For sure.
Because before this, they've been circling each other, all this tension. And then this one little comment, it's like Jiang Tian's acknowledging something between them. Almost intimate in a way.
Yeah. And what's so interesting is how Sheng Wang just, doesn't react.
I know.
Just the simple, oh, and a nod. It makes you wonder what's going on in his head,
Totally.
Is he downplaying it? Is he thrown off guard?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
And then you've got Gao Tianyang just clueless as ever.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Poor Gao Tianyang just stuck in the middle, no idea about the deeper meaning behind that whole exchange.
He's just oblivious to the whole charged atmosphere.
Totally.
But even he can't ignore the awkwardness when Yang Jing, their English teacher,
Yeah.
when she realizes that Sheng Wang has basically slept through half her class.
Oh, man. Yang Jing is terrifying.
Right. Like, talk about an authority figure. So when she turns to Jiang Tian, questions him about Sheng Wang.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Right. Like, Jiang Tian's silence in that moment speaks volumes.
He's put on the spot, right. He could have just said, oh, Sheng Wang wasn't feeling well.
Exactly. Exactly. But he doesn't. He just stays silent.
Even when Gao Tianyang tries to nudge him to say something.
I know. It's like he's caught in this weird web, He's got this resentment towards Sheng Wang, but he's also aware of, their shared history now.
It's like he's stuck between these two impulses.
Totally. And don't forget, we also have to consider, the power dynamics in that scene. You've got Yang Jing with that whole no-nonsense attitude. She's like the ultimate authority figure.
Oh, absolutely.
And for Jiang Tian, who's still trying to figure out where he fits in.
Right, right.
His silence isn't just about Sheng Wang. It's about navigating that whole social hierarchy of the classroom.
That's such a good point.
And it really shows how much he's changed.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Back in chapter 6, Jiang Tian was so quick to challenge Sheng Wang.
Right. He didn't seem to care who was watching.
Exactly. But now there's a different energy. He's thinking things through more.
Like he's being more strategic.
Totally. There's a newfound sense of caution in how he interacts with Sheng Wang.
It's like he's constantly recalibrating.
Yes, exactly.
And there's Sheng Wang. Right. Waking up and realizing he's missed half the class.
Oh my God, I know. That part always makes me laugh.
You have to admit, the image of him sending 50 eye roll emojis to Jing Tian, that's hilarious.
It's amazing, but it's also really telling, don't you think?
Oh, totally.
Remember how awkward their communication has been so far? All those weird silences and things?
And those WeChat messages, so formal and stilted.
Exactly. So this sudden outpouring of emojis, it's huge.
It's like he's finally letting loose a little.
Right. It suggests this level of comfort, this familiarity that wasn't there before.
Maybe they're not on the best terms, but they are starting to get each other.
Exactly. It's like they're finding their own weird language, even if it's just through emojis.
It's like they're developing their own little world,
Yeah.
right? With all these inside jokes and secret meanings.
Exactly. But, and this is important, this new ease between them, it doesn't erase everything that's happened before.
Right, all that resentment and jealousy.
Exactly. It's still there, just beneath the surface. This chapter's actually full of these little moments that remind us how complicated their past is.
Oh, totally.
Think about that scene where Jiang Tian reaches into Sheng Wang's desk to grab the test paper.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It seems kind of insignificant, right? But then the author gives us this glimpse into Jiang Tian's thoughts. He's thinking about how thin Sheng Wang is.
Oh, my God, that line always gets me.
Right.
It's like this punch to the gut because
Yeah.
you realize that Jiang Tian, for all his aloofness, he actually cares.
Yes, it reveals this whole layer of concern that he's not even necessarily showing outwardly.
Right, like underneath that cool exterior, there's this empathy building.
Exactly. And Sheng Wang, too, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's got all these walls up. But he's also incredibly vulnerable.
Totally.
Both of them are constantly trying to figure out how they see each other, how they fit together.
It's like they're both changing so much, and they're trying to figure it out as they go.
Exactly. And that ending of the chapter, oh, man.
When he asks Jiang Tian if he wants a beating.
Right. It's playful, but there's also this underlying tension.
It's like he's testing the waters.
Totally. Like he's daring Jiang Tian to break down those walls.
It's almost like he's saying, see me, the real me, even the messy parts.
Yes. And the way it ends, it leaves you wanting more. Like, where do they go from here?
Right. Will they keep building on this weird connection? Or are they just going to retreat back into themselves?
It's the big question, isn't it? And for our listener, as you're going through the next few chapters, think about this.
Okay.
What if Sheng Wang's sleeping through class? What if it's not just physical?
Okay.
Like, what if it's also him unconsciously trying to let Jiang Tian in?
Whoa. Okay. That's a good one.
It's a lot to think about.
It really is. Well, this has been amazing. I feel like we barely scratched the surface of this chapter.
I know, right? There's just so much to unpack.
It's incredible how much depth and complexity there is to their relationship.
Totally agree.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the On1y. And to our listeners, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.